and electrifying live performances.
Missing.
We're heading to the Lorna Auto Proprietary School in Linstead on March 27 from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Don't miss the vibes, the fun, and your chance to shine. The NNN School Tour 2026 is where talent meets opportunity. This broadcast is brought to you by the Police Civilian Oversight Authority, Tip Friendly Society, LMH Publishing, Wisynco Group, Digicel, Nutrition Products Limited, and Mystic Mountain, Jamaica.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Roby Ann Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Prime Minister urges communities to stop harboring criminals during address to mourners at funeral service for 3-year-old Jace Pinnock.
Criminals, you are over there. Law-abiding citizens, we are here. And our objective is to get rid of the criminals out of our community. Get the criminals out!
Reward for information leading to the capture of third suspect in Jace's killing to increase to $1 million.
Petroleum dealers accused Total Energies Jamaica of unfair pricing practices.
37% of recommendations from the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission now completed.
MP Donovan Williams files defamation claim against a councillor for the Raytown Division, Rosalie Hamilton.
In news from the rest of the world, CCJ grants stay in Mohammed extradition case.
Judge to weigh whether Venezuela can pay Maduro's legal costs in U.S. drug trafficking case.
In sports, JC and Edwin Allen continue to set the standards with sizable leads on day 3 of Champs 2026.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, the Jamaica Public Service Company has urged customers to brace for higher electricity bills due to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East already impacting fuel prices. We'll get reactions from President of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, Emil Leiber, and Deputy President of the JMEA, Cecil Foster.
In the nation's business at 6:25, the government has established an electronic signature policy in order to begin implementing the Electronic Transactions Act. Minister with responsibility for efficiency and digital transformation, Ambassador Audrey Marks, will join us.
Taking you around the world at 6:45, former Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores were back in court in New York on Thursday after being charged with narcoterrorism and weapons offenses. You'll hear more. And at 7, it's the comments section with Shalois Michael and Mahiri Stewart. This evening they're asking, what's your reaction to statistics showing that Jamaica has fewer couples and children than almost 10 years ago? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM. All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, RevoNews.ai, and on the Revo News app. It's available on Google Play and the App Store. This Thursday afternoon, it's Thursday, March 26, 2026.
The hour is brought to you by the new KFC Saucy Wings. Hot and spicy wings tossed in sweet red chili or citrus chipotle barbecue sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC Saucy Wings. It's finger licking good.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Get the criminals out. That's the message delivered by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness at the funeral service for 3-year-old Jace Pinnock at the Pentecostal City Mission Church in Kingston on Thursday. Jace was shot and killed on February 21. Khaleesi Wright reports.
A life cut far too short. That was the prevailing feeling as mourners gathered at the Pentecostal City Mission Church in Kingston to celebrate the life of 3-year-old Jace Pinnock. Jace, his father Kerrio Pinnock, and another child were shot at their home in Denhamtown, Kingston on Saturday, February 21 while they slept. Reports are that gunmen opened fire on the Pinnock home, hitting all 3 occupants. They were taken to hospital where Jace was pronounced dead. Kerrio succumbed to his injuries days later. Thursday's overcast conditions mirrored the somber mood among those gathered to send home a child whom the nation mourned for when news of his death first hit the airways. Among those in attendance were Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, Member of Parliament for West Kingston Desmond McKenzie, and the Mayor of Kingston Andrew Swaby. Dr. Holness urged Jamaicans to do their part to rid communities of criminals.
We cannot continue to be ambivalent, duplicitous. If we want to get rid of criminals in the society, we must draw a line that is clear. Criminals, you are over there. Law-abiding citizens, we are here. And our objective is to get rid of the criminals out of our community, out of our home, out of our school. Get the criminals out.
He stressed that tragedies like this will continue if citizens continue to protect criminals.
There is a view that somehow the criminals are Robin Hoods. They are taking from the rich and carrying it to the poor. No, that's not what the criminals do. They take from you, the poor, and enrich themselves. There is a view that the criminals are protecting you, that once they are there, nobody can violate. At some point in time, they are going to turn their guns indiscriminately at you. And until you start to see those who have guns in your communities as a threat to you, then tragedies like these will happen, and we will gather in churches like these and we will mourn.
Prime Minister Holness says he has given instructions for the incident to be thoroughly investigated.
Let it be known in the community that I have given directives that this murder of this young child and any other child must be investigated thoroughly, and those who are responsible, including those who provided any facilitation, provided any weapon, instigated it, they must all be brought to justice. I want it to be known that anyone who is involved, you will be found, and you will either meet a judge or your maker.
Khaleesi Wright for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for West Kingston, Desmond McKenzie, says the reward for information leading to the capture of the 3rd suspect in the murder of Jace Pinnock will increase to $1 million. Minister McKenzie was also speaking at Jace's funeral service at the Pentecostal City Mission Church in Kingston on Thursday.
3 terrorists is responsible. 2 is in police custody, and the 3rd is still running. You can run as fast as you can, but we're going to catch you. We're going to find you. And the reward that I put out of $600,000, I'm increasing that reward from $1 million for information leading to his capture.
The 2 men charged for Jace's death are 32-year-old Dwayne Bowen, also known as Juby, and 33-year-old Deacon Mahoney, otherwise known as Rooney. MP McKenzie is calling on Jamaicans to do their part in protecting the nation's children.
I urge not just West Kingston, but the people of Jamaica to stand up in defense of our children. While we mourn today, we should not stop when we put him to rest at night. This should be never, ever come back here for an occasion like this. If he died of natural causes, then in his innocence.
Desmond McKenzie, Member of Parliament for West Kingston.
Nationwide News understands that tensions are rising in the country's petroleum sector. This as several dealers are reportedly accusing Total Energies Jamaica Limited of unfair pricing practices by offering preferential fuel rates to select operators, creating an uneven playing field in the market. It's further understood that Total Energies terminated 2 of the dealers' contracts after complaints were made to the Energy Ministry. Shalois Michael reports.
Nationwide News spoke with one of the dealers who is currently under contract with Total Energies Jamaica Limited. The dealer, who requested anonymity out of fear of his contract being terminated, outlined a litany of what he says are unfair business practices by the fuel supply company. The dealer says the company, which has been operating as a fuel supplier in Jamaica for over 20 years, has taken a turn for the worse under the new leadership of its managing director, Vincent Daniault. The dealer says, among other things, Total Energies has increased the rents and franchise fees significantly.
He has hiked up the rents significantly. Some persons have seen increases in rent of 1,000%, but because we have a license agreement and not a lease agreement, so I guess they're arguing that it's legal. When they do this now, on the back end, what they do is that they want to dictate the price that you sell the gas at, they want to monitor your sales, and they want a percentage of your profit, all the while maintaining the margin at the front, and I'm not talking about small margin.
The dealer further argues that Total Energies is using coercive tactics to dictate how they should sell the gas. To add fuel to the fire, the supplier reportedly provides different prices to dealers located on the same stretch, creating an unfair advantage.
For argument's sake, he's buying 87 for $187. The Total station that is beside him is selling the 87 for $185. So they are selling the gas cheaper than what he's buying the gas for from Total. They'll say that the persons are dealers, but for example, where Santander, that so-called new dealer is an employee to Total, and basically they say that they give the person the station to run. But the arrangement and the prices, that person cannot be making any money.
The source says any form of complaint or criticism is met with harsh penalties. This was evident, the dealer says, following a meeting with Energy Minister Darrell Vaz a few weeks ago. It's understood the dealers, who are represented by the Jamaica Gasoline Retailers Association, JGRA, had to source a lawyer to represent them. This as they were reluctant to air the concerns themselves out of fear of being terminated. But this did not stop Total Energies from terminating at least 2 contracts so far.
The person who got terminated today, he went to that meeting. After the meeting, the MD told him that he was a snake, basically, and he did not respect him nor Total. And he knew then that he was marked, but he did not expect that they would retaliate against him so quickly. And they retaliated against him almost immediately, at even a month. Everybody at JGRA is afraid of this man. Every Total dealer.
Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, the JGRA raised similar concerns in a release on Monday. It says it's dissatisfied with Total Energies' decision to end the contract of a veteran dealer who has been in business with the supplier for decades. It says the dealer, Anthony Ma Lee, operated at the Seashore Harborview service station in Kingston. The JGRA says Ma Lee has never breached the terms of agreement and has consistently maintained operations in full compliance with Total's standards. It says he was given a 30-day notice to vacate the service station, which expired on March 20. Ma Lee was also required to assume full responsibility for significant redundancy payments to employees who've served between 12 and 43 years. It's calling on Total Energies to review the matter. The JGRA warns that failure to do so could have wider implications for stability and confidence within Jamaica's petroleum retail sector. Nationwide News reached out to Total Energies for a comment on Wednesday and was told the message would be passed on. On Thursday, we were advised the relevant individual had been briefed, but after several hours, no response was received up to news time.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is
5:14.
Unlock winnings, unlock value, unlock postpaid with Digicel. Sign up for your postpaid plan now, win $1 million. When you sign up and unlock postpaid with Digicel, you can win up to $1 million and more. Just sign up or switch to postpaid, upgrade or activate an add-on in the My Digicel app. Pay your bill in full on time and you can win an iPhone 17 Pro Max every week. A bill write-off up to 10 grand, a grand prize of $1 million. Unlock winnings with Digicel. Better connected.
Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Conditions apply. Promotion valid from February 6 to April 4.
Continuing the news, the Ministry of Education has implemented 37% of the recommendations from the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission. The figure was revealed during the Education Transformation Oversight Committee (ETOC) quarterly media briefing on Thursday. It's a 5 percentage point increase over the 32% announced at the Commission's last quarterly briefing held in October. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
The briefing revealed the progress rate following the end of the third quarter of the third year of the Transforming Education for National Development (TREND) program. TREND is the vehicle being used to implement the raft of recommendations made by the Education Transformation Commission. The most progress has been made in the areas of technical and vocational education and training, with 55% completion. This is followed by the early childhood and tertiary sectors with 47 and 46% respectively. Project lead of the TREND program, Dr. Venice Morrison-Leon, outlined some of the gains made in the tertiary sector.
A functioning tertiary education management information system should be developed, and we are reporting this morning that TMIS development is 100% complete. We also want to report that the National Qualifications Framework of Jamaica is fully operational and all structures are in place to implement the NQF. The Jamaica Credit Accumulation and Transfer Scheme, we are 50% underway with that. Micro-credentialings framework aligned to the National Qualifications Framework is fully developed and being implemented.
For the period, the infrastructure pillar stood at 19% complete, while technology was at 55%. Dr. Morrison-Leon says the ministry has significantly improved connectivity in schools and places of safety.
Broadband installation has taken place in 706 of our 1010 public schools, and for that we want to celebrate this morning. Wi-Fi was also installed in 558 of our public schools, and in quarter 3 196 installation was done. Wi-Fi was also installed in 27 of the 48 places of safety in quarter 3.
The governance, legislation, leadership and administration pillar has seen 27% completion. Dr. Morrison-Leon says a key goal achieved in the last quarter was the implementation of qualification standards as part of the establishment of a school board selection framework.
The revised governance guidelines were developed, and our qualification standards are being tested across 5 of our regions. Regions 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The focus remains on putting capable individuals in place to strengthen school-level governance. To date, the National Council has received over 100 applications for volunteers to serve on school board.
For the remaining pillars, finance is 31% complete, while teaching, curriculum and teacher training is at 15%. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
5 more drivers employed by the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, have been slapped with embezzlement charges for their involvement in a bus ticket scam recently uncovered at the state-run bus company. They are 59-year-old Paul Hall, 62-year-old Elvis Sims, and 43-year-old Jason Blackwood, all of St. Catherine addresses. 58-year-old Andrew Bird of a Kingston address, and 52-year-old Marlon Barnett of an Albion address in St. Thomas. They were charged between March 25 and March 26. They were all granted bail and are set to appear in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on April 21. The police say between February and March this year, the drivers collected fares from passengers while on duty, but did not issue electronic receipts or hand over the money to the JUTC. This brings to 9 the number of people charged so far in the racket. The 4 drivers previously charged are 47-year-old Keith Reed of Landui, 50-year-old Colleen Reynolds, 43-year-old LaShawn Young, and 27-year-old Javon Hassock. The JUTC, in a statement issued on March 20, reminded commuters of the importance of requesting and receiving a valid ticket or receipt for every journey taken on its buses. Commuters are also being encouraged to report matters immediately with as much detail as possible, including the bus number, route, time, and location of any incident.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, has granted a stay of extradition proceedings involving Guyanese businessmen Nazar and Azruddin Mohammed, pending the determination of an application for special leave. The ruling came during a case management conference held on Wednesday. The Mohammeds are the subjects of an extradition request by the U.S. government to face an 11-count indictment, including charges of conspiracy and money laundering. The men have filed judicial review proceedings in an effort to halt the extradition process. At Wednesday's hearing, the CCJ ruled that it was in the interest of justice to grant a stay until the court determines the application for special leave to appeal. Written submissions on the application for special leave are due by April 10. The application is scheduled to be heard in a video conference on April 21.
A U.S. judge pressed the Trump administration on its reason for barring Venezuela's government from paying former President Nicolas Maduro's legal fees in his drug trafficking case. Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, appeared in a New York court on Thursday. Maduro's lawyers argued that the U.S. is violating the deposed leader's constitutional rights by blocking Venezuelan government money from being used for the couple's legal costs. The U.S. government hasn't let the funds flow because of sanctions against the South American country. Prosecutors argued Maduro plundered Venezuela's wealth and should not be able to use its money for legal fees. The judge said he would issue a ruling at a later time, including the next court date.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness urges communities to stop harboring criminals during his address to mourners at funeral service for 3-year-old Jace Pinnock.
Reward for information leading to the capture of third suspect in Jace's killing to increase to $1 million.
Petroleum dealers accused Total Energies Jamaica of unfair pricing practices.
37% of recommendations from the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission now completed.
I'm Roby Ann Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at revonews.ai and on the Revo News app. It's available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
The Leadership Conference of Choice is back. Transform super managers into superior leaders at the Make Your Mark Middle Managers Leadership Conference, Jamaica Pegasus Hotel and online, May 6 to 7. Sponsored by Caledonia Outdoor Advertising, Visual Tech Solutions, Intelligent Multimedia Limited, CIBC Caribbean Bank, and Visual Vibe. Register now for Middle Managers Conference, May 6 to 7 at makeyourmarkgroup.com.
Ling-a-ling-a-ling, hold
Get ready, Jamaica! The NNN School Tour 2026 is bringing energy, talent, and excitement straight to your school.
Pull up your pants and put it on your waist.
Every Friday, we spotlight the creativity and skills of our students. We're coming with games, prizes, and electrifying live performances. We're heading to the Lorna Auto Proprietary School in Linstead on March 27 from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Don't miss the vibes, the fun, and your chance to shine. The NNN School Tour 2026 is where talent meets opportunity. This broadcast is brought to you by the Police Civilian Oversight Authority, Tip Friendly Society, LMH Publishing, with Cinco Group, Digicel, Nutrition Products Limited, and Mystic Mountain, Jamaica.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. We start with news from the Boys and Girls Athletics Championships over at the National Stadium as Jamaica College and Edwin Allen, they continue to set the standards. They've opened decent leads on day number 3 of the championship. JC, who came into the day leading with 54 points, well, they have added a couple of more. In fact, they've added 10 more points to their overnight tally. They are now up to 64 after 9 finals, and they lead ahead of the defending champions, Kingston College, who are on 47 points, and third at the Minute St. Jago on 38. Edwin Allen continues to set the standards amongst the girls. They're well out front with 78.5 points, and this, of course, they've added 10 to their overnight 68. Homewood Technical 31, and St. Jago third on 29 points. The big news on the day, though, came out of the boys' Class 1 200 meters, where the outstanding Excelsior star, Raquelme Reed, who won the 100 meters on Wednesday night in a lifetime best 10.12 seconds. His dream of the sprint double in Class 1 were dashed. He pulled up on the curve in the semi-final this morning and failed to finish the race. So he'll no longer be a sprint double champion at Champs. That's what his ambitions coming in. The favorite now, the new favorite, and the defending champion, Sanjay Seymour, out of William Knibb High School, will take the fastest time into Saturday's final. He won his semi-final this morning in 21.03 seconds. Now, of the 2 completed finals so far on day 3, Shanique Watt of Immaculate Conception, she won the Class 3 girls high jump. 1.71 was her height, and Kemoya Campbell of Edwin Allen, 1.65, finished second, and Tessica Francis also of Edwin Allen, so Edwin Allen winning silver and bronze, and they both scaled 1.65. Kingston College took 1-2 in the boys equivalent. Jaden Bailey, 1.78, he won ahead of Joel Patrickson, second. Also 1.78, Donovan Simpson Brown of St. Catherine High School, he claimed bronze with 1.75. In just under 5 hours from now, Jamaica's national senior men's football team will resume their journey towards a second ever appearance at football's greatest show, the World Cup this summer. They'll take on the part-timers of New Caledonia in Mexico tonight at Guadalajara, to be exact. Now, the game is set to kick off at 10 o'clock Jamaica time, and this represents a second bite of the cherry for the Reggae Boys, who failed to get in automatically after losing out to Curaçao last November, famously at the National Stadium. A number of the Jamaican players are on their final cycle of World Cup qualifying, so you'd think. Amongst them is a captain, Andre Blake, and he's under no illusion as to what awaits tonight.
Yeah, we have one final to play and then another final. You know, that's how we have to approach it. Football has changed so much where you don't just show up with names and win games anymore. You know, so you have to go out there and perform. So I'm pretty sure all the players know what's at stake, and we all know that without winning the first game, there's no second game. You know, so the approach is going to be one game at a time. Don't know much about our opponent, but we're going to have to approach it as it's a finals and it's a must-win game, and we take it from there.
Yeah, Blake believes that the Jamaica team needs to have its own identity that he believes will help them to gain success on the global platform.
I also think that football is slightly changing now, where everybody wants to play like Man City or Arsenal, or it doesn't fit everybody, you know. And I think that at the end of the day, you play the game to win the game, and it doesn't matter how you win the game. Your style is ugly football, but you win the game, then you do what you do, you know, versus trying to be somebody that you are not and then end up not being as successful.
That's Andre Blake, captain of the Jamaica national senior men's football team. Portmore United, they were leading Waterhouse 2-1 very, very, very deep into extra time in their Jamaica Ray and Nephew Premier League game over at Freddie Nita Park. In fact, that game just about coming to an end. There's a couple of seconds left when we're heading to studio. Tariq Zimenez, the former Jamaica College star man, and Corey Burke, who hit his second goal in as many games since his return to the local league. The other goal scorers so far for Portmore United, and Jamon Lal scored the goal for Waterhouse. There's another game on at the minute. Cavalier, the champions, they're playing Dunby Holden, and that game started at 4. They're just starting the second half, and it's goalless at the moment. And we've got one more story before we head out of air. Captain of the West Indies women's team, Hayley Matthews, has urged their batters to rise to the occasion ahead of their upcoming 3-match one-day international series against Australia, and the game to be played at Warner Park in St. Kitts on Friday. The two sides are scheduled to meet in the opening game, as I mentioned, and they need for a stronger showing with the bat following their 3-0 series defeat in the preceding T20 internationals. And of course, Matthews says the team has placed significant focus on improving their batting during training sessions in the lead up to the game.
I think the batting is going to be crucial for us as a team and as a group. We certainly have done a lot of work bowler wise, and I think it showed in the T20 series when it came to plans and execution. But in the batting department, we certainly want to see an influx, I guess, of runs and big scores and big partnerships from the top order especially. So I think that's one area as a team that we're certainly focusing on. We know we have the potential within the top 6. So we can go out and score runs and compete really well against Australia. It's just about focusing on the execution when game day comes and putting it all together really well.
That's Hayley Matthews. She's captain of the West Indies women's team. And in case you're joining us for the first time, just to tell you that Jamaica College, they continue to lead amongst the boys. They've got 64 points the last time we checked. And Edwin Allen, they're really, really out front and really motoring away. It does seem as if they're going to take some stopping. They've got 78.5 points. They lead amongst the girls in the girls section of Boys and Girls Champs. And tonight at 10 o'clock, Jamaica versus New Caledonia in a crucial World Cup playoff in Mexico. That's sports. We're going to be back at 6:05 with a major sportscast. Alric Swaby will be your presenter.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
For all your custom framing, printing, graphic design, and purchase of art, Make It Frame Art Jamaica Limited, serving you for over 40 years. The time by Frame Art Jamaica is
5:32.
Upgrade your drive with Hyundai and Scotiabank. 4.99% interest, 0 fees, and 1-year insurance free. Choose from the Hyundai Venue, Palisade, Tucson, or Creta. Visit Kingston or Montego Bay showrooms. The temperature by Hyundai is
29 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital. Kingston is 28 in the western city, Montego Bay.
KFC, yeah, we at it again. With the new saucy wings, go and tell your friends. Now on you know, KFC saucy wings, brand new. 2 new flavors just for you. Sweet red chili and citrus chipotle barbecue. Hot and spicy, saucy wings, give me daily and nightly. Flavor kick, we know you have a like
New
it.
KFC saucy wings, delicious hot and spicy wings, tossed in sweet red chili or citrus chipotle barbecue sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. KFC saucy wings, it's finger licking good.
Now on you know, KFC saucy wings.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
You could win a return on your taxes. Pay your taxes with your Sagicor Bank Business Credit Card at Tax Administration Jamaica or online for your chance to be one of 2 lucky winners of $500,000 cashback. Earn an entry for every $100,000 spent on taxes between February 27 and April 15. Plus, enjoy a 1-month payment holiday up to 55 days interest-free and unlimited reward points. Visit Sagicor.com to learn more. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere, spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Top of the afternoon to you. Welcome back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, welcome to Nationwide at 5. It's Must Listen Radio. Of course, I'm Tyrone Reed. Inside the cover story today, we want to turn our attention to the Jamaica Public Service, the light and power monopoly, advising its customers, residents, and of course businesses that they should expect increases in their bills. Now, the JPS is warning customers to brace for those higher fuel prices on electricity bills in the coming months. In a statement issued on Monday, it says this is due to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. The company says the impact of the war is already being seen as the cost for petrol used for transportation and electricity generation has seen an increase. It pointed to the dramatic rise in oil prices from $60 per barrel in December 2025 to over $100 per barrel in March 2026. A big jump there. The JPS says fuel prices on bills will change based on current market prices. If it says if fuel costs go up, it will be reflected on the electricity bills. In the meantime, the Energy Minister, Darrell Vaz, says there will be transparency and accountability.
I've seen a press release from the JPS in relation to increases due to the Middle East war. Not surprising based on obviously the increase in the cost of fuel. However, I'm making sure that the OUR is on top of it in relation to the justifications and the amounts so that we make sure that there is transparency and accountability.
The voice there of the country's Energy Minister, Darrell Vaz. Now, joining us for reactions is the president of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, JCC, that's Emil Leiber, as well as the deputy president for the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA, Cecil Foster. Top of the afternoon to you both. Welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you. Indeed, and if you're over there on YouTube,
good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
You'll be able to see both gentlemen. Yes. All right. So we have with us Cecil Foster and Emil Leiber. Let's begin with you, Emil Leiber. Just before I get into asking you about how your members are managing, perhaps let me start there. How are your members managing? Because clearly these are increases in prices that you perhaps wouldn't have forecast.
Well, they're not yet implemented, so it's more about at this point preparation, I think, than managing currently. So the Chamber of Commerce has a wide range of members, a mix of large, medium, and small to medium enterprises and individuals. So everyone's experiences are going to be different. Clearly, those members who heavily utilize electricity in their business would be the ones who are most affected by this type of hike. Now, as Jamaicans, of course, we're all affected in our domestic scenarios as well as in the fuel costs for your motor vehicle. So it is something that clearly will not be good for business and not be good for the consumers, because JPS represents a significant input cost for many people, many businesses, combined with the general. So it has a knock-on inflationary effect in terms of taxi fares, bus fares. So it can result potentially in increasing staff costs, separate from the company's direct costs, in terms of the manufacturing and operational process. Because even if you're not a factory, many businesses in Jamaica will run an air conditioning, commercial air conditioning type of situation. And so it is something that the businesses will need to look at and project as to whether this is going to be what I call a short-term shock, and hopefully with some resolution in the near future, or if it's something that you have to kind of hunker down for the long haul, how much cost can be transferred to absorbed, and how much cost may have to be put in the hands of the end consumer.
All right. Let's bring Sister Foster into the conversation. You heard there from Emmy Libai saying, look, it's about bracing for that impact now. Your members, perhaps more than most, use a lot of electricity in terms of the manufacturing processes and so on. What are you hearing from your members about what JPS is saying right now, brace for what could be significant increases?
Yeah, it is a very frightening situation that I think all manufacturers are facing. When we saw this coming, and we have had conversations, strong conversations with our members, at least some of the larger ones, and we have been encouraging them to brace for the possibility that we are facing right now. And as Emil said, it's not going to be good. It is something that is likely to hurt a lot of the manufacturing companies, for those who do not have renewable energy as a part of their fuel source. A lot of the Jamaican companies feed a great portion of the country, and therefore with transportation prices going up, with the electricity bill, our costs going up, it is definitely going to affect the end results of the products that go out to the consumers. However, saying all of this, I think I want us to move the conversation into a different phase, and to look at why we are in this kind of a situation. And the reason why we are in this kind of a situation is because we have not, as a country, planned well and execute on those plans that we have made. We have always, on the table, we have always known that something like this can happen. On the table right this minute, there is a plan for the country to have 50% of its energy sources come from renewables. And most times renewables are not affected greatly by what happens in the Middle East or in the oil producing countries. And we have allowed, as a country, some negative comments to be made about renewable energy, especially solar. And that has caused a lot of people to question the veracity of solar energy. Now, those countries that are benefiting or are not feeling a tremendous shock are those countries who did not listen to the naysayers. Because now, renewable energy source, solar, is the lowest source of energy right now away from hydro in the world. It's the lowest cost. And so we should have been planning for days like these or times like these. And therefore, we would not be caught in a situation where we just can't do anything. We have heard some comments that oil could go to $150 a barrel. I think it's one of these Reuters or one of these stations. It could go to $200 a barrel.
What would that mean for the manufacturers and exporters sector if that happens? That could decimate the sector, could it?
It would overturn all of the gains that the country has made in the last 10 years or so. Because, look, the budget, the minister says, was built on $62 a barrel. So think about it. So all of what we have put on paper and say we're going to be executing this year and maybe the year to come would be overturned, would be turned on its head. And the reason is because we have not planned well.
Right.
It would hurt a lot of people. It would hurt, I don't know, the manufacturing sector would be, I know this is a global problem, but countries that produce our oil might not have as big a problem as we would have. And so the increases might not be as dramatic in those countries as they would be in our country, Jamaica. But it would not be a good, in fact, it is not a good place that we are in right now. And Emil,
I want you to hold that thought for me about it's not a good place that we're in, Cecil Foster, because we are up on a break. We have to take the break, but we're talking about the war in the Middle East and how it is shaping up to have what might be a quite significant impact on what we pay for electricity in the country. Of course, JPS issuing firing those warning shots, trying to advise its customers, residential customers, and the business customers as well, the commercial customers, that look, brace for the increases that are going to come as a result of this war with Iran by the U.S. and Israel. We're going to take the break right here, and then we're going to come back with more thoughts from Cecil Foster from the JMEA and Emmy Leiber from the JCC. Soon come.
Remember the first time, the first glance, the first touch. This Easter weekend, rediscover that feeling at Couples Resorts. Escape to a couples-only all-inclusive paradise with gourmet dine-in, premium cocktails, and unforgettable ocean views, all included. Jamaican residents can celebrate your Easter escape with exclusive rates from $405 USD per night, valid through April 30th. Visit couples.com/residents. Couples Resorts, like the first time, every time.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere, spend while supporting the economy. Look for the multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my multi-link?
KFC, yeah, we at it again. With the new saucy wings, go and tell your friends. I want you know, KFC saucy wing, brand new. 2 new flavors just for you. Sweet red chili and citrus chipotle barbecue. Hot and spicy, saucy wings, give me daily and nightly. Flavor kick, me know you have a like.
New
it.
KFC saucy wings, delicious hot and spicy wings, tossed in sweet red chili or citrus chipotle barbecue sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. KFC saucy wings, it's finger licking good.
I want you know, KFC saucy wings.
Welcome back. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us right here inside Must Listen Radio. It's nationwide at 5. We're talking with Cecil Foster from the JMEA and Emmy Leiber from the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. The JPS has warned customers to brace for higher fuel prices on electricity bills in the coming months. Now, the war in the Middle East is basically what the JPS is saying is responsible for what is to come. It pointed to the dramatic rise in oil prices from $60 per barrel in December 2025 to over $100 per barrel in March 2026. A significant jump there. Emmy Leiber, I'd love to bring you in back at this juncture, because one of the questions I was going to put to you is, look, people always say, boy, the JPS really does a number on its customers. It's a monopoly. It bears the brunt of the blame for things that go wrong in the sector in terms of the supply of electricity. But what I just heard it from Cecil Foster saying, look, I was saying JPS can make a reasonable case here that this has nothing to do with it. But Cecil Foster is saying, look, we perhaps should have had an off-ramp a long time ago in terms of the types of energy sources that we're using. What's your take on that, Emmy Leiber?
So, well, let me first declare that JPS is also a member of the Chamber of Commerce. So we are certainly not anti-JPS. However, the fuel, if you look at your light bill and how it is structured, it separates the fuel charge, it separates the call IPP variable charge, and what it communicates is that your bill is variable and these factors weigh into your bill, and this is, as I understand it, somewhat of a pass-through expense. So if this is the cost that they have to pay, then this is the cost that they will charge. Now, in terms of the alternate energy sources, I can fully understand why Cecil would be in favor of it. And I too do support the vision regarding a greater portion of our power generation being through alternate sources of energy. Now, in terms of or whether it should have been done sooner than current, you know, it will always be the case that there will be some variability in oil prices. This has been an unexpected war, I think, for many, if not all. The question of what I call private-public investment based on the structure of JPS, you know, and the return on investment and so on would also be a relevant consideration, because I can tell you when even as a business person contemplating solar or from an individual level, you have to look at the numbers, because you do have a certain capital expenditure to for the installation to begin with.
So the word from you won't be that your members should look into perhaps coming off the grid. JPS is a member of your organization, so I would suppose you wouldn't be making that case.
No, that's not to say. No, we support alternate power generation. Remember, there are two ways in which your energy costs can go down. You can personally come off the grid, and for domestic installation, that's about $5 million. So if you have that capacity and are able to do that, sure.
At $5 million, you say, to go solar?
No, not okay. I know Cecil is going to jump in here. I'm not saying all solar installations cost $5 million.
No, you just said domestic installation is $5 million. So what was that in reference to?
I will defer to Cecil on this, but I'm saying a full off-the-grid system, in my personal understanding, is in that region. Cecil, you're free to weigh in and correct me.
Cecil, you wanna help here? And is the word from you, Cecil, that to your members that look to come off the grid, because these are unstable times? Is that the word to your members?
What I was saying earlier on, when you're in this kind of a space, you are going to be likely to start panicking, and the first thing in this case that people are going to think about is coming off the grid, which it is their choice, and they might have a reason to do that, to come off the grid. So solar, as I said earlier on, is one of the cheapest renewable energy sources out there right now. And so that might be the choice of somebody. But I think JPS has the capacity to roll out solar energy in their, we call it now, production of
in their offerings,
energy
in their
and
offerings to the
distribution.
market.
Yes, they have. So, like Emil, we're not kicking JPS across.
But you'd want to go back to JPS to offer you solar and then as opposed to doing it yourself. You're saying that's not the word to your members now to jump ship.
I'm not saying.
That's not the word.
I'm not saying they don't have a reason to jump ship, and they should not. But I'm just saying to you that in where we are, it is likely that a lot of people will jump ship.
Let me read to you, gentlemen.
Let me finish this. The discussion is therefore, how will that affect the distribution, the production and distribution of JPS in the long run? And that is what the discussion can also look at.
So you're saying if everybody jump ship, JPS might not be feasible going forward?
Well, that is a way of looking at things right this minute. And back to where I started. This is where I started. The way I started, that we have not planned over the years for incidents like these that can hurt us. Because if we don't protect the power provider right now in the country, we can be worse off.
If you don't protect the JPS.
Yes, if policies are not put in place to keep the JPS modified or not, their position, the way they are doing their stuff and so on, it must be modified. There's no doubt about it. But we have to have a company that has such infrastructure that spreads across every nook and cranny almost of the country. And they have just rebuilt, what you call it now, the infrastructure in many places. You have to understand that. But that might not be understandable right now by a lot of people because they are feeling the pain and they're going to feel the pain as manufacturers, and therefore we will jump the ship.
I'm wondering how your members, right, your members might be reacting to this, but let me read something to you, gentlemen, and then get your response from someone who is watching. The person says, Tyrone, I have full solar at home. My light bill is $500 per month, the person says. And of course, they utilize it to do other things. Oil prices don't necessarily impact me. I have been telling persons about going renewable for a long time. This war should give us the impetus, Emil Leiber, to look to the diversification, whether you can do that on your own. I'm not certain that sitting and waiting on JPS to offer it as a part of their product offering is the answer, because we've heard about other types of fuel sources would have come on stream and made electricity cheaper. We've seen where it has come on stream and electricity is still not cheaper. So really, what has to be the word to your members and to those who are listening on now? How do you respond to what was just said to me? Look, renewables, it has to be the way to go.
So so I think everybody agrees with that in a broad spectrum, right? So just for clarity, in terms of JPS, it's not that JPS will be selling you a solar installation. JPS would, because it is getting cheaper power, as Cecil has indicated, cheapest power available, you can pass through that benefit to the consumer. So that would mean that JPS is the one who would incur the capital cost of setting up these solar farms and that type of thing, through third-party providers, and then that benefit then streams through to the consumer. So that would be the cheapest method for consumers to benefit from alternate energy sources. Wow. Now, if you have the capital, or through NHT, and because you do have various facilities for solar loans and so on, and you have that funding to be able to set it up within your business place. Most business places operate primarily in the day, and so would benefit from using the solar throughout the day. They may not need the batteries at night. Again, Cecil's area, so I won't go into that too deeply. But
we're almost out of time, gentlemen. Let's give Cecil.
Be conservative. Manage your bills. and try and limit any unnecessary expenditure at this time, given the global uncertainty.
I have about 30 seconds to give you the last word, Cecil Foster. What do you say to your members who are bracing for these big bills?
I said, they have an option to jump it because we have a solution that can solve their problems. Right now, in the long term, we need, as a country, to look at how our energy mix will provide us some kind of safety from these shocks that take place across the world. And that is where I would say it is going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, and our members, we are here, especially the company I represent, is here to help you, to support you through this period.
And we need some kind of binding guarantee from JPS as well, because it can't be that we say if we introduce these elements, the electricity prices will go down. And we're not seeing it, even after the elements have been introduced.
We could have a discussion on exactly why it will not go down.
Yeah.
The way it is, the company is structured and things are done, it will not. And it's not their fault in totality. It will not move from where it's at right now. That's another discussion.
I'll try to bring you gentlemen back for that discussion. Cecil Foster is the Deputy President of the JMEA, and Emmy Leiber, he's President of the JCC. Gentlemen, thanks for the time and the thoughts. We appreciate it. This has been the cover story. The headlines are next.
Cover story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
The hour was brought to you by the new KFC Saucy Wings. Hot and spicy wings tossed in sweet, red chili, or citrus chipotle barbecue sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC Saucy Wings. It's finger licking good.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Get the criminals out. That's the message delivered by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness at the funeral service for 3-year-old Jace Pinnock at the Pentecostal City Mission Church in Kingston on Thursday.
We cannot continue to be ambivalent, duplicitous. If we want to get rid of criminals in the society, we must draw a line that is clear. Criminals, you are over there. Law-abiding citizens, we are here. And our objective is to get rid of the criminals out of our community, out of our home, out of our school. Get the criminals out.
Jace, his father, Kerry Pinnock, and another child were shot at their home in Denham Town, Kingston on Saturday, February 21, while they slept. Reports are that gunmen opened fire on the Pinnock home, hitting all 3 occupants. They were taken to hospital where Jace was pronounced dead. His father succumbed to his injuries days later. Dr. Holness stressed that tragedies like this will continue if citizens continue to protect criminals.
There is a view that somehow the criminals are Robin Hoods. They are taking from the rich and carrying it to the poor. No, that's not what the criminals do. They take from you, the poor, and enrich themselves. There is a view that the criminals are protecting you, that once they are there, nobody can violate. At some point in time, they are going to turn their guns indiscriminately at you. And until you start to see those who have guns in your communities as a threat to you, then tragedies like these will happen, and we will gather in churches like these and we will mourn.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for West Kingston Desmond McKenzie says the reward for information leading to the capture of the third suspect in the murder of Jace Pinnock will increase to $1 million. Minister McKenzie was also speaking at the funeral service.
3 terrorists is responsible. 2 is in police custody, and the 3rd is still running. You can run as fast as you can, but we're going to catch you. We're going to find you. And the reward that I put out of $600,000, I'm increasing that reward from $1 million for information leading to his capture.
Desmond McKenzie, Member of Parliament for West Kingston. Nationwide News understands that tensions are rising in the country's petroleum sector. This as several dealers are reportedly accusing Total Energies Jamaica Limited of unfair pricing practices by offering preferential fuel rates to select operators, creating an uneven playing field in the market. It's further understood that Total Energies terminated 2 of the dealers' contracts after complaints were made to the Energy Ministry. Nationwide News spoke with one of the dealers who's currently under contract with the Total Energies.
He has hiked up the rent significantly. Some persons have seen increases in rent of 1,000%, but because we have a license agreement and not a lease agreement, so I guess they're arguing that it's legal. When they do this now, on the back end, what they do is that they want to dictate the price that you sell the gas at, they want to monitor your sales, and they want a percentage of your profit, all the while maintaining the margin at the front, and I'm not talking about small margin.
The dealer further argues that Total Energies is using coercive tactics to dictate how they should sell the gas. To add fuel to the fire, the supplier reportedly provides different prices to dealers located on the same stretch.
For argument's sake, he's buying 87 for $187. The Total station that is beside him is selling the 87 for $185. So they are selling the gas cheaper than what he's buying the gas for. Total. They'll say that the persons are dealers, but for example, where Phantom Terraces, that so-called new dealer is an employee to Total, and basically they give the person the station they run. But the arrangement and the prices, that person cannot be making any money.
Nationwide News reached out to Total Energies for a comment on Wednesday and was told the message would be passed on. On Thursday, we were advised the relevant individual had been briefed, but after several hours, no response was received up to news time. The Ministry of Education has implemented 37% of the recommendations from the Jamaica Education Transformation Commission. The briefing revealed the progress rate following the end of the 3rd quarter of the 3rd year of the Transforming Education for National Development Trend Program. Project lead of the Trend Program, Dr. Vanessa Morrison-Leon, outlined some of the gains made in the tertiary sector.
A functioning tertiary education management information system should be developed, and we are reporting this morning that TMIS development is 100% complete. We also want to report that the National Qualifications Framework of Jamaica is fully operational and all structures are in place to implement the NQF. The Jamaica Credit Accumulation and Transfer Scheme, we are 50% underway with that. Micro-credentialing's framework aligned to the National Qualifications Framework is fully developed and being implemented.
Dr. Venice Morrison-Leon, project lead of the Trend Program. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
Every great project starts at Creative Building Finishes, Jamaica's only choice for the best tiles, best bathrooms, and best kitchens. Whether you're designing, building, renovating, or selecting materials for your next project, we offer exceptional quality, standout designs, and expert guidance you can trust. Visit our showroom in Kingston or Traxall, or explore full range online at www.creativebuildingfinishes.com. Creative Building Finishes, your beautiful finish begins here.
1, 2, 3, boom. Green light.
You mean red light?
Green light. Everything easy and instant when you click the chatbot icon on the CNWJ Credit Union webpage.
So what?
Just become a member of CNWJ Credit Union. You can save, make deposits, and get loans. Speaking of loans, once you become a member, you can instantly apply for a loan right there online and have the cash in your hand within 24 hours.
We are chatbot.
No, chatbot.
Conditions apply. CNWJ Credit Union. Discover the benefits of belonging.
Every professional reaches a moment when growth calls. A promotion, a new opportunity, a bigger vision. At Mona School of Business and Management, our globally competitive graduate programs, including the internationally accredited MBA, are designed for ambitious professionals who are ready to lead. With flexible delivery options that fit your lifestyle, advancing your career is within reach. Learn from world-class faculty. Connect with influential leaders. Transform your future. Visit discover.msbm-uwi.org and apply online for a graduate degree. MSBM, Global Knowledge, Regional Solutions.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alwick Swaby. We start with some track and field as Jamaica College and Edwin Allen have opened substantial leads in the respective categories at sports time on day 3 of the Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championships at the National Stadium. JC, who came into the day leading with 54 points, picked up 10 more points to now be on 64 after 9 finals, and they lead ahead of defending champions Kingston College, who are on 47, followed by St. Jago third on 38 points. Edwin Allen continues to set the standards among the girls. They are well out front with 83.5 points. Immaculate are second with 37 points and Homewood third on 31. The big news on day 3 came out of the Class 1 boys semifinals, where the favorite Raquelme Reed of Excelsior had his hopes off the sprint double dash after pulling up on the curve and failed to finish the race. Reed clocked a personal best 10.12 on Wednesday to capture the Class 1 100 meters title. The new favorite for the 200 meters and the defending champion Sanjay Seymour of William Knibb will take the fastest time into Saturday's final after winning the semi-final in 21.03 seconds. In 2 of the completed finals so far on day 3, Saniki Watt of Immaculate won the girls' class 3 high jump with 1.71 meters ahead of Kimoya Campbell of Edwin Allen 1.65 meters and a third to another Edwin Allen athlete, Tasika Francis 1.65 meters. Kingston College took 1-2 in the boys' class 3 high jump with a victory going to Jaden Bailey 1.78 meters and Joel Patrickson second also with 1.78 meters. Donovan Simpson Brown of St. Catherine High claimed the bronze with 1.75 meters. Now, Francisco Leon, a director in the Latin American and the Caribbean office at the World Anti-Doping Agency WADA, explained that while he's in Jamaica conducting business, he'll use his downtime to attend the National Stadium to experience the high school spectacle known as the Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championships.
I hear that it's an incredible event and a spectacle that I really look forward to seeing because, as I said in my speech earlier, I come from athletics, and so every time I can go to a track, I'm just a happy man.
Leon, representing WADA alongside the Jamaica Anti-Doping Commission JADCO, signed a joint declaration of intent on Wednesday to formalize plans to host the Global Anti-Doping Intelligence and Investigation Conference on Jamaican soil in September 2027. According to Leon, he's eagerly anticipating this workshop.
It is an important moment for us because it consolidates the partnership that we have with Jamaica, and we look forward to having many countries from the Caribbean coming here alongside their national anti-doping organizations and the law enforcement to work on anti-doping towards not chasing athletes, not the dopers necessarily, but actually the crime behind them, the organized crime behind them, because those are the ones that need to pay the price of tempting athletes into doing things that they shouldn't.
Francisco Leon. Now to football, as in just under 4 hours from now, Jamaica's national senior men's football team will resume their journey towards a second ever appearance at the game's greatest show when they face the part-timers of New Caledonia in the FIFA Interconfederation playoff in Mexico. The game is set for 10 o'clock Jamaica time. This represents a second bite of the cherry for the Reggae Boys, who failed miserably to get in automatically after losing out to Curacao last November. Captain Andre Blake is among a number of the squad who could be on their last World Cup qualifying journey, and he's under no illusion as to what awaits.
Yeah, we have one final to play and then another final. That's how we have to approach it. Football has changed so much where you don't just show up with names and win games anymore. So you have to go out there and perform. So I'm pretty sure all the players know what's at stake, and we all know that without winning the first game, there's no second game. So the approach is going to be one game at a time. Don't know much about our opponent, but we're going to have to approach it as it's a finals and it's a must-win game, and we take it from there.
Blake further states that each team needs to find its own style of play to be successful on the global stage.
I also think that football is slightly changing now, where everybody wants to play like Man City or Arsenal, or it doesn't fit everybody, and I think that at the end of the day, you play the game to win the game, and it doesn't matter how you win the game. Your style is ugly football, but you win the game, then you do what you do, versus trying to be somebody that you are not and then end up not being as successful.
Andre Blake. Now, Portman United beat Waterhouse 2-1 in their Ray and Never Jamaica Premier League encounter at Ferdinand Park on Thursday. Tariq Zimini and Corey Burke, with his second goal in as many games, scored for Portmore, while Jamon Lyle scored for Waterhouse. Dunby Olin were leading champions Cavalier 2-0 at sports time in the day's other game. Now, defending champions Fraser's Whip and the title contenders Arnett Gardens remain the only teams after 3 rounds of the Jamaica Women's Premier League with perfect win records. Arnett Gardens currently lead Zone A with 9 points, having scored an impressive 12 goals while conceding just twice. Close behind are Fraser's Whip, who have also amassed 9 points, netting 10 goals and allowing only 1. The two informed teams will return to action in round 4 on Saturday at the Anthony Spalding's complex. Arnett Gardens are set to face Cavalier, while Fraser's Whip will take on My Gully in what promises to be an exciting doubleheader. Head coach Garnet Lawrence says Arnett Gardens are firmly focused on lifting the title this season.
I think we're getting there. We have some new additives to the team, we're gelling right, and I think game after game progress, it's just work in progress.
Fraser's Whip's head coach, Courtney Dowdy, credited his team's performance to their dynamic approach on the field, emphasizing a free-flowing style of play that has made them difficult to contain.
It's pretty easy. Just go there and play the best football. Try not to think about the opponents as much. Once we play free-flow football, I think that, that football itself will replicate our performance.
Meanwhile, Real Mona blanked UWI women 5-0 in their rescheduled match on Wednesday. Olivia Osborne scored a hat-trick, while Charisma McLaren and Shanae Ashley scored a goal apiece. Former champions Italy remain on course for a first FIFA World Cup appearance since 2014, when they beat Northern Ireland 2-0 on Thursday in their European playoff in Bergamo. Sanjo Tonali and Moise Keane were on target for the Azuris, who will now face Bosnia-Herzegovina on Tuesday for a place at the World Cup this summer. Bosnia defeated Wales 4-2 on penalties after a 1-1 regular and extra time scoreline. Denmark clobbered North Macedonia 4-0 and will face Czechia for the World Cup place next Tuesday. Czechia beat Republic of Ireland 4-3 on penalties. Poland beat Albania 2-1 to set up a winner-take-all class next Tuesday away to Sweden, who turned back Ukraine 3-1. Turkey stopped Romania 1-0 and will play off against Kosovo next Tuesday for a World Cup spot. Now to cricket, as captain of the West Indies women Hayley Matthews has urged her batters to rise to the occasion ahead of their upcoming 3-match one-day international series against Australia at Warner Park in St Kitts. The two sides are scheduled to meet in the opening match on Friday, with Matthews emphasizing the need for a stronger showing with the bat following their recent 3-0 defeat in the T20 International Series against the same opponents. Speaking ahead of the contest, Matthews says the team has placed significant focus on improving their batting during training sessions in the lead-up to the ODI series.
I think the batting is going to be crucial for us as a team and as a group. We certainly have done a lot of work bowling-wise, and I think it showed in the T20 series when it came to plans and execution. But in the batting department, we certainly want to see an influx, I guess, of runs and big scores and big partnerships from the top order especially. So I think that's one area as a team that we're certainly focusing on. We know we have the potential within the top 6. So we can go out and score runs and compete really well against Australia. It's just about focusing on the execution when game day comes and putting it all together really well.
She also stressed the importance of making a positive start in the opening match.
Yeah, it's really important. There's obviously a lot of points up for grabs for the ICC Championship, and 3 games is 6 points, and we're obviously coming up against the number 1 ranked team in the world in Australia. We know it's going to be a very big challenge for us, but yeah, at the same time, I think any points that we can get to go towards the table are going to be very important for us when it comes to qualifying for the World Cup.
Hayley Matthews. The second ODI is scheduled for March 29, with the third and final match set for April 2, both also to be played at Warner Park. I'm Alex Swiby, and that's your sport.
Boy, I'm glad we get away to the beach for Easter.
I'm glad you bring the Maxfield Easter bun.
One thing connect them all.
Maxfield for maximum satisfaction.
Order by WhatsApp at 455-0144.
If you have financial needs, Chris and Charles will fix them for you. Power in great moments since 1992. Oh, we have it all. Power in great moments. Relax, you got Chris and Charles. Oh, we have it all. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Morning after morning, you've made Nationwide 90 FM part of your routine. So let's take this connection one step closer. Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club and be part of it officially on Patreon.
Family, amazing family.
Having trouble with termites? Problems with ants, wasps, or rodents? Then contact Alson Pest Control Services today. They cater to all your general pest control and inspection needs, servicing island-wide from residential to commercial spaces. They've got you covered. For more information, call 876-338-6056 or email alson.pest@gmail.com. Alson, the pest control experts you can trust.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Get
ready, Jamaica! The NNN School Tour 2026 is bringing energy, talent, and excitement straight to your school.
Pull up your pants and put it on your waist.
Every Friday, we spotlight the creativity and skills of our students. We're coming with games, prizes, and electrifying live performances. We're heading to the Lorna Auto Proprietary School in Linstead on March 27 from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Don't miss the vibes, the fun, and your chance to shine. The NNN School Tour 2026 is where talent meets opportunity. This broadcast is brought to you by the Police Civilian Oversight Authority, Tip Friendly Society, LMH Publishing, with Cinco Group, Digicel, Nutrition Products Limited, and Mystic Mountain, Jamaica.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, Nationwide this morning, for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
The Nation's Business is brought to you by the Heart Foundation of Jamaica. There's nothing sweeter than a healthy lifestyle.
Good evening, listeners. Thank you so much for staying with us right here inside Nationwide at 5. Here inside the Nation's Business, and we want to turn our attention to the government establishing an electronic signature policy. And we are going to be joined in this segment by the Minister with Responsibility for Efficiency and Digital Transformation, Ambassador Audrey Marks. Now, the government has established an electronic signature policy in order to begin implementing the Electronic Transactions Act, the ETA. This was announced by Minister with Responsibility for Efficiency and Digital Transformation, Ambassador Audrey Marks, at the post-cabinet media briefing held on Wednesday.
Although the Electronic Transactions Act provides legal recognition for electronic signatures, and some MDs, ministries, departments, and agencies have started to use solutions to effect electronic transactions and signing of documents, many others continue to rely heavily on wet ink signatures and manual processes. This was because there was no unified government-wide policy to guide practices across MDAs. Today, we are providing that policy guidance and directive. The full implementation of the Act starts today.
The voice there of Ambassador Audrey Marks. She's the Minister with Responsibility for Efficiency and Digital Transformation. The ETA was passed in Parliament in 2007. But it was underutilized due to a lack of a framework to guide its implementation. Minister Marks says with the new policy, government documents and records that are signed electronically will no longer be subject to scrutiny. The Court Administration Division successfully implemented a pilot of the electronic signature policy for the digital signing of traffic tickets at the Kingston Traffic Court. As a result, the measure will be gradually implemented in courts island-wide. To discuss further further, we are now being joined by the Minister with Responsibility for Efficiency and Digital Transformation, Ambassador Audrey Marks. Ambassador Marks, thank you so much for joining us on Nationwide at 5.
Mr. Reed, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. The privilege and pleasure are ours. Ambassador, a game changer this is, isn't it?
I would like to think so. It's bringing us right into the information age, fully in.
And what would have motivated the government to establish an electronic signature policy at this time, nearly 2 decades after the Electronic Transactions Act was passed? What gave that impetus?
Well, the impetus came from the establishment of the Ministry of Efficiency, Innovation and Digital Transformation. As you will recall, about 2 years ago, the Prime Minister, in recognizing that we had set a strong foundation in terms of our macroeconomic policy, he then started the push for us to pivot to growth. And an essential element of growth is efficiency in our public sector. So step by step, you're seeing how this is being done. He first established this ministry area, and now we are now carrying out the processes to lead to a far more efficient and modern public service. And let me take a step back to just again look at the background that we're coming from. We had spent quite a few years transforming Jamaica's macroeconomic situation from what was described as a basket case at one point to where we got to, I think it was a BB rating by S&P. Now that is a tremendous accomplishment. I mean, that is just 2 points, 2 notches away from investment grade. And you know what investment grade would have meant for Jamaica. Mm-hmm. And so even after the hurricane, that was in September last year, and after the hurricane in December, we were still, the rating agencies still kept us at BB. There's a slight change from positive to stable. That's because of the strong financial infrastructure that we had built in terms of our macroeconomic stability,
yes.
So we had a strong base from which to do this pivot to growth. And the focus now is on every aspect of the government where we can transform to a far more efficient and productive service level. And part of what I'm doing is we are going to be changing some of the laws, and we're also activating some of the laws that were passed but were not being fully utilized because the alignment of the act and the policies and regulations were not in place. And as I said yesterday, a very popular thing in government, a very popular acronym is CYA. And if you don't give civil servants the full protection to act, they will not. So we have to make sure that we put the policies in place to make sure that civil servants are comfortable knowing the policy guidelines are there to support their actions.
And help us, what does CYA stand for?
I can't say. You go and look that up.
Well, all right. For those who are listening on, Ambassador Marks, and they're saying, what does this mean in the grand scheme of doing business with the government, this electronic signature thing? What does it mean in the grand scheme? How does that make my life easier when I'm transacting business with the government? How would you respond to that?
So now, if you need to stay at home and do a transaction, you'd have to do an electronic signature for some of the agencies. But if it is not accepted by the TAJ or the company's office or any government agents that you need to do business with, then you have to take up yourself and get in your car and go through the traffic and go to that location. So in terms of a day-to-day impact, being able to, for the government accepting a digital signature will make it much easier for our contracts, our documents, anything that you have to do with the government that requires a signature. The same things that you go into the physical space to do, to sign a document, you can now do electronically. You don't have to scan and upload. You can get the same document down, get your electronic signature onto it, and just press send.
And that can save you a trip to the physical location to transact the business.
And for Jamaicans and persons abroad doing business in Jamaica, this is a massive change for them. Because it will save you a trip to Jamaica. It will allow you to get business done much faster, being able to do everything on an electronic basis. And this is very important also because, as you realize, having come out of Hurricane Melissa, we are realizing that we know the importance of building redundancies in our system and to build more resilience in our infrastructure. So just as the Prime Minister announced all the physical changes we are doing in our infrastructure to build more resilience, we are doing the same thing in government in terms of building out a digital government, what I call a digital government twin, so that at any point, the same services that you can get in a physical
in person,
space,
you can get them online.
In the digital space, yes.
Absolutely. Well, we're talking, our guest in this segment is the country's digital transformation, efficiency and digital transformation Minister, Ambassador Audrey Marks. We're up on a quick break. We're going to take the break, and then when we come back, we'll talk more with Ambassador Marks. Soon.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:35. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We're talking with the country's Efficiency and Digital Transformation Minister, the Minister with responsibility for those portfolios. We've been talking about the establishment of the electronic signature policy, in order to begin implementing the Electronic Transaction Act, ETA, which was passed in about 2007. Now, Minister, you've spent years in the private sector. You are an accomplished, successful businesswoman, and you've now made the transition into government. And a lot of the criticism facing how government goes about doing things, it's that it's largely paper-based, largely pushing paper around. Now dragging the government systems into the modern era. Based on your interfacing with the government service and the systems, what do you think is the most difficult thing to change in order to get the government into the digital age? Is that the culture within the government ministries, agencies, and departments, based on your interfacing with them? What would you say the greatest hurdle is?
Not really, because I've had the opportunity to go around to many of the agencies, many of the ministries, many of the departments, and I would say that most people want the change. Most of our civil servants want to have more efficiency in how they can get their job done. So what it is leadership. You really, people want change, but sometimes people are a bit risk averse. They don't want to take on the challenges and maybe the risks that are involved in making change. Coming from the private sector, I don't have that sort of concern because, I'm at heart an entrepreneur. So what excites me is to see a potential and then develop it and implement it, whether it's an idea or a system. So I think the foundation is there in terms of we have many, many good and qualified people in our public service. What we need is a clarity of direction and support systems, and then good communication and to encourage everyone to move in the same direction to achieve the goals. And that's going to be my job, and one that I'm happy about, because in many ways as probably a chief critic of the government, in terms of, just trying to start a business, to grow a business. And I had many fights with government agencies. So it's interesting to be on the other side and to see the culture and to see how it can change. But I don't see a massive resistance, actually. I see the need for more communication and more leadership in clearly translating the direction that we all need to go in to create a modern Jamaica.
When you say more leadership or more improved leadership is perhaps what I'm getting from you. At what level are we talking about? Middle managers at the very top, at the level of permanent secretaries? What are we talking about?
So when I say leadership, it's clearly Jamaica is actually experiencing excellent leadership from our Prime Minister. He sets the policies. He's a great communicator. Is pushing us in a direction. Now we have to ensure that all of us at each level, we take it forward. And the culture in the public service is sometimes to sit and wait for directions and to have clarity before anything is done. So it is very important. Like, for example, now I work a lot. Everything that I'm coming out with, I ensure that I have a meeting with the Permanent Secretaries Board, as all the permanent secretaries across the government, because the permanent secretaries, after the ministers, are the first line for implementation of any policy, and then work with the permanent secretaries to ensure that throughout their organization, at every director, manager, supervisor level, these things get communicated so that leadership at every level, from the supervisor to the manager to the director to the permanent secretary, it is understood, it is agreed, and most importantly, there are going to be metrics for accountability to ensure that what we have agreed on is being carried out. So for me, leadership is both communicating and holding participants accountable to an end result. And sometimes in government that end result can be very vague. So you want it very clear that you are going to be accountable to an end result and what that end result is. So for example, a month ago, you noticed that I drove the full implementation of Flexi work hours.
Yes.
And I continued to follow up. So I was able to give an update at yesterday's press briefing that we have now reached 90% of the ministries carrying out and implementing the Flexi Work program. So that system of accountability is what will drive full implementation.
90% of all ministries?
Yes.
Across government?
Have now started the process of implementing the Flexi Work program.
And this would include the agencies and departments under those ministries as well?
That's right.
That's significant, Ambassador Marks.
That's why I'm a believer in our system. I believe the public service is ready to go, and with the right communication and mechanisms for accountability, we will get there.
And I gather that may mean that these ministries, agencies, and departments might be at various stages of implementation. We're not saying 90% of the ministries, agencies, and departments have started to utilize the Flexi work schedule already, or we're just saying 90% of them have already initiated the process.
So I know 32 MDAs, because that includes some ministries, some agencies, some departments. 32 a month and a half ago when I had announced it, 32 had already, they were in full implementation.
Yes.
The 90%, as I understood it from the report from the permanent secretaries, is all those who have initiated.
So at some, they're along the way at some point in the process.
Levels of implementation. They are having the staff meetings. They are going through the changes that will need to be made. Some have gone fully into a pilot program, and some are going through the process.
Indeed, a significant progress there. But if I could bring you back to this digital signature initiative, you indicated that electronically signed government documents would no longer be subject to scrutiny. What safeguards are in place to ensure authenticity and to prevent fraud? Because that's a big area of concern once you touch anything to do with the internet.
Yes, so that is why yesterday I went through the different risk levels and the processes that we have put in place. And that's why the policy is so important, because the policy help guide the assessment of the various risk levels. And at some levels, you have a lower level of scrutiny, and another level you need to have. I'm trying to go back. Let me go back to look at my notes from yesterday.
Mhm.
Like at some levels, you have to have the certification, or what they call the public key. In the system, you have to activate that to get the go ahead to accept the digital signature for more complex cases. So we have built in through the ICTA, the information, communications and telecommunications.
The ICT.
Authority, the ICTA, they have built an integrated system of assurance behind the process to accept digital signature. So it's not just like what we do now. Many of us in some departments or some ministries, we just sign using DocuSign or Adobe. But what we are doing now is building within the government infrastructure safeguards, so that at each level you can go to another level, if it's a higher risk, to get a secondary system of approval.
Mm-hmm. Minister, we're almost out of time, but I want to ask you this. At the end of this term in office, what would look like a success for you as you drive this portfolio of efficiency, innovation, and digital transformation? What would government look like after your first term as a cabinet minister driving digital transformation, innovation, and efficiency? What should it look like, and that you would consider success?
I think I was told that the only thing that we cannot do as a digital service is a marriage certificate, according to our law. So anything else.
Should we change that?
Yeah, I will look at it after I get through the ones that don't have any restrictions in the law. So every service that you can do in the physical space, I would want you to be able to do in the digital space. That's one. Two, and most important for me, all the processes for procurement, approvals, permits. I want to see where we have cut that system from the 20 or 30 steps to approval to 2 or 3, so that approvals for any investment activity in particular can be approved in 30 days. So, and the good thing is that this is not pie in the sky. I actually spent almost 2 weeks in Estonia studying their system. So I've seen what a digital government looks like, and I've seen the efficiencies that are brought to the economy and the impact on GDP from having such a system in place.
Can you get it done in this 5-year term, Minister?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
So we'll hold you to that, Ambassador Mark. So you can get it done in this. You're confident. You're bullish on that.
I'm very confident.
Absolutely. You heard it there, right, from the Ambassador Audrey Marks. Yes, she's the Minister with Portfolio Responsibility for Efficiency, Innovation, and Digital Transformation. And we'll, God willing, we'll try to follow up with you. And hopefully, we hope that you are successful, because it will redound to the benefit of Jamaica at large. Minister, thank you so very much for making the time to be with us.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Indeed. The voice there you just heard is that of Ambassador Audrey Marks. She is the Minister with responsibility for efficiency, innovation, and digital transformation. That's where we bring the nation's business to a close. We take the break right here, and when we come back, I'll take you around the world.
Every day, Rosie has a glass of fruit drink with breakfast, an energy drink on the way to work, a flavored water with lunch, and 2 glasses of soda with dinner, which adds up to more than 50 teaspoons of sugar a day. And all that extra sugar could bring on obesity. Are we drinking ourselves sick? 71% of Jamaicans support a tax on sugary drinks. Help tackle obesity and protect our children's future. A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica.
Hi, I'm Kalila Enriquez Reynolds, and I know a thing or two about smart money moves. Hiring a real estate professional isn't just about houses. It's about hiring someone skilled, competent, and most importantly, licensed. Check with the real estate board before entering into an agreement with a dealer, salesman, or developer. Visit the search register at reb.gov.jm or call the board today at 926-9748-9.
Ready to upgrade your drive? Hyundai and Scotiabank are making it easier for you. Right now, you can drive away in a brand new Hyundai with an interest rate as low as 4.99%. Low interest rate, zero processing fees, and 1 year free insurance with Scotia Protect. Whether it's the compact Hyundai Venue, the bold Palisade, the stylish Tucson, or the dynamic Creta, Hyundai has the perfect vehicle waiting for you. So visit our showrooms at 7 Oxford Road, Kingston, or Providence Drive, Montego Bay, and get behind the wheel of a brand new Hyundai. Hyundai Jamaica. Because of you, conditions apply.
Welcome back. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us right here inside Nationwide at 5. Now, let's take you around the world. The former Venezuelan leader, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife, Celia Flores, were back in court in New York on Thursday after being charged with narco-terrorism and weapons offenses as well. Inside the courtroom, the pair sat in beige prison outfits and wore headphones to translate audio. Outside the court, the police were on duty to separate pro- and anti-Maduro protesters. Maduro's lawyer argues his client has the right to use money from the Venezuelan government to pay for his defense after the U.S. blocked him from accessing cash. Maduro and Flores were seized by U.S. forces from his compound in Caracas in a dramatic nighttime raid in January. Most of you might recall the pair were transported to a detention center in Brooklyn, New York, where they have been in custody ever since. They both pleaded not guilty to the charges. Neither has asked to be released on bail. A trial date is yet to be set. Here's more in a report from CBS News.
All right, we've got some breaking news relative to that hearing in New York. You're seeing the protesters here behind me. They would like the release of former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. That did not happen inside a New York courtroom. So let's go to CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano. She is outside that courthouse. So you were there. You saw the players. What did you see?
Well, first of all, Reed, let's be very objective about what happened, what we saw. We saw Maduro noticeably thinner, looked pretty healthy, if you ask me. Also, his wife, who her defense team said she was dealing with some cardiac issues, they looked pretty healthy to me personally. They walked in wearing khaki overcoats, and he had that orange jumpsuit underneath. Importantly, he did not speak this time. Last time, Maduro claimed that he's an innocent man, that he's a decent man, that he's a prisoner of war. This time, neither Maduro nor Celia Flores, his wife, said anything at all during the hearing. Except when they greeted their defense attorneys, he said saludos, thanked them. Throughout the hearing, though, very important contradictions came up. The main thing that was discussed is who will pay the bill, who will carry the bill for Maduro and Celia's defense. And what Maduro and Celia say is, we don't have any personal funds. Of course, there are many questions about that, and the prosecutors challenge that notion, but that's something that might come up in the future. So what they want is for the people of Venezuela. Venezuelan taxpayers are supposed to carry the bill. The biggest issue is that the government of Venezuela is still sanctioned under the United States. So the defense is trying to say, look, the government of Venezuela is willing to pay. The prosecutors are saying, well, those funds are tainted. Those funds are illegal. That country is sanctioned. But the most interesting moment to me was the contradictions that came up. because the judge himself asked, well, aren't we in business with that government? At one point, it was brought up that since the removal of Maduro, since Delcy Rodriguez, the interim president, was brought to power, Venezuela has made more than $18 billion in oil. So there's a question, why not use those funds if they're not, quote unquote, tainted? This is a complicated case that's going to take a long time. And the biggest question here is it going to be U.S. taxpayers, a public defender's office that's going to carry this extensive and expensive defense? Or is it going to be the Venezuelan taxpayers who, and this is important, the only reason why the Venezuelan government would carry that bill and the Venezuelan taxpayers would pay that bill is because Maduro refused to step down when he lost the election in 2024. The U.S. considers him an illegitimate president. The person who succeeded him, the U.S. considered, up until recently, an illegitimate vice president. So now, even though 70% of Venezuelans voted him out of power, now they have to pay, depending on what happens in the coming weeks and months and what the court decides. They are faced with the possibility of having to pay for his defense for a case where he is charged with trafficking, with drug trafficking, with narcotic terrorism, and with corruption. So it's just a really interesting thing that came up to me as I'm looking at him and hearing from so many Venezuelans, having been on the ground and hearing from the Venezuelans who have been fighting and protesting and facing backlash from those figures, that they would have to carry that bill. But the alternative at this point might be that the U.S. carries that bill. What was decided? Nothing at this point. The judge reserved the possibility of making that ruling in the near future. The other thing that was discussed was what will happen to the evidence and whether the people who are charged with the same crimes as Maduro, who are still part of his case, who are considered fugitives, but also are still in power in Venezuela, whether or not they get to see the evidence that they themselves are facing. That will also be decided by the judge after the prosecutors and the defense agree on exactly the wording of that order. But this is important because there's a real concern that because the regime figures in Venezuela are still in power, because people like Diosdado Cabello, the interior minister of Venezuela, is a co-defendant in this case, is still considered a fugitive by the United States, but is still in power and overseeing the entire security apparatus of Venezuela, the people who are witnesses, who gave testimony, who are part of the evidence against Maduro, could face backlash, persecution, as has happened in the past.
What a complex set of facts there. Lilia Luciano, good to check in with you. Thank you so much for stepping out of court and updating our viewers.
Thanks,
Have a good day.
That report there from CBS News. And of course, that's where we bring the segment Around the World to a close. And with that, we also bring the curtains down on tonight's edition of Nationwide at 5. I want to thank our super producer, Dana Davey. Thank you, Lady Dana. Thanks to our technical operator, the pilot, the man behind the controls, Andrew Glenn Anderson. Don't just said, folks, that's his name, Andrew and Glenn together. Thanks to all the hardworking members of the news and production team led by our editor, Cara Powell. This has been another edition of Nationwide at 5. I'm Tyrone Reed saying good evening.
Leasing industrial